Hey folks, here OS Reviews. You're watching our video first look and a quick review of the Xiaomi Amazfit Bip. This is an all-new smartwatch from Amazfit, a subsidiary of Xiaomi that's retailing for under 70 bucks. It makes for a compelling value compared to other alternatives on the market, and it's even cheaper than the Xiaomi Amazfit Pace, that one with a round display. It actually features very similar specifications and uses the same technology, but has a cheaper price tag and also, in my opinion, a more compelling design with longer battery life. Rated at 45 days on a single charge with some sporadic syncing and interaction in between, but if you have it disconnected from Bluetooth and you're just using it as a watch, it's going to last you easily 2 to 3 months before you need to rejuice it, which takes just 1 hour to complete. So these are very impressive features for such a low-cost smartwatch. And again, charging and battery life is one of the biggest pain points because with Android Wear, having to recharge your watch every single night can be a great hassle. So let's take a closer look at the design of this watch first. So you can see here that it has a square shape, kind of reminiscent of more traditional, Casio watches, and in some sense even the Apple Watch, but it's smaller and also lighter. It weighs next to nothing because it uses a polycarbonate plastic frame and a Gorilla Glass surface as opposed to a more premium and hefty aluminum or metal. The Gorilla Glass means that the screen here is scratch-proof, it's tempered, and it's also extremely strong. It also features curved edges on all of these seams that makes interactions such as swiping up, down, left, and right through the display a lot more comfortable. However, the plastic frame does mean the watch will get some scratches and scruffs, as you can see here, and so it'll show some wear and tear if you're slightly rougher on your watches. The band here is made out of a soft touch rubber material. It's pretty thick and durable, and it's comfortable. It's a breathable material that didn't have any problems on my skin, and it's a unisex band that works with both men and women alike. The band strap here, though, is made out of plastic, just like the frame of the watch. Amazfit did this to make the watch feel extremely light, as aforementioned, next to nothing. In fact, similar to any plastic watch you may pick up from a drugstore. But at the same time, it's not nearly as hefty as the Amazfit Arc, which was an all steel and aluminum build. So you can see that underneath here there's access to the optical heart rate sensor, and there are 2 contact pins for the included charging dock, which you use to juice it back up. The side here features a crown that you can tap on to activate the display. When the display is off, it's going to be static. You can't actually touch it. It's only when it's unlocked and the backlight is on can you interact between multiple panels and screens. This is again another feature that Xiaomi made to conserve on the battery life. I can tap and hold here to activate a specific sport mode, such as running or jogging, to go into specific recording for those activities, and I can also long press to power the watch on or off. Overall, it's an extremely simple and minimalistic design, just like most of Xiaomi's design philosophy in their other products. And there's also a little pin that you can actually tap on to remove the watch straps to swap it out for a different color or for optional accessories that will be brought out in the future. So let's take a closer look at the software side of things next. One downside of the Xiaomi Amazfit Bip at the moment is that all of the interface settings are in Mandarin Chinese. And that means that if you are an English speaker, you live in Europe, or you want other languages, you have to wait for the international version. Luckily, the Bip's interface is extremely straightforward and doesn't take any time at all to master. Even if you don't read Chinese, it's quite intuitive and there's not too much to figure out. And we'll guide you through that process later on in this video. So taking a look at some of the watch faces that we have here, the first thing that you notice is that the display, even when under direct sunlight, remains extremely visible. It's a transflective typed screen. With the backlight off, you can see how it still shows off images without any issues and has generous and wide viewing angles. It reminds me of an e-ink panel or a color e-ink screen, and I think it's extremely smart how Amazfit chose this display type on a watch, which you'll be wearing under many different circumstances and lighting environments. The watch face we have now is also kind of clever because it simulates what you may find from a traditional kind of watch, and even has kind of these digital imprints on the sides that makes it look very convincing, like a static or an old-fashioned watch. This face gives you access to a number of steps, the battery remaining, time and date, and also a little bar that tells you how much of your exercise you've completed out of your daily goal. Tapping on the watch once has this flashing animation and a haptic vibration that tells you can then access the other panels. Swiping here to the right gives access to my home page, where I can see quickly how many steps I've taken, my heartbeats per minute, which takes about 10 seconds to complete using the optical sensor. There's also distance walked. Here I have calories burned and amount of time that I've sat in the past hour. Swiping over from the edge of the screen exits out of this panel, and I can go into the next app, which is specific sport modes for running, jogging, cycling, as well as walking. So it gives you advanced settings for those things. Now, the weather does require connectivity to the phone, so Bluetooth needs to be on, and after you sync it with your phone, after every once in a while, you'll have up-to-date weather info for the entire week. And there's access to highs and lows. I can change from degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit through the companion app. There's access to the weather outdoors right now, which is sunny, and there's access to the days of the week for Monday through Sunday. Under settings, I can also adjust the brightness and the contrast level of the screen. I can have the backlight completely off at all times to save on battery, and you can see that under lighting, it still remains extremely visible. Next is the alarm. I can set up different alarms for working days, Monday through Friday, and on the weekends, so Saturday or Sunday. From here, I can toggle these alarms on or off, and again, the watch itself features a haptic vibration sensor, which is actually quite strong. So it's going to vibrate to wake you up in the morning, and also vibrate when you get a new call or incoming notification. The watch does come equipped with Bluetooth and a GPS, but there is no Wi-Fi here, like on Android watches or on Android Wear. So next, there's access to a stopwatch function, very simple feature, but again, simple interface, easy to use, and here I can tap on confirm to exit out of the program. Tapping on the crown key once also takes you back one page, just like the swipe gesture. And here I have a stopwatch or I have a timer function, so I can set it up at specific minutes and seconds, which could be useful if you want to time an activity, or if you are, let's say, taking a nap and you want to be woken up after 30 minutes. In advanced settings, I can change the watch face. This is a classy analog representation of time, but again, it's a square shape as opposed to circle, which may work better with a face like this. So I can also take a look at some of the other options by swiping downwards, so going back into the settings. The next one here is a pretty oversized version. If I like this one, I can tap on confirm on the left here, and what happens after tapping on confirm is if I go all the way back, you can see that the watch face is now changed to this. It's a colorful one, so it has actually three colors, the blue, the orange, and the lighter blue here. So even when the backlight here has dimmed, you can see that it shows off the colorful nature of the LCD panel they've used. That creates a very simple interface, but you don't have access to more details like your heartbeats or number of steps taken. Let's go back and take a look at some of the other faces. There's access to the one that I showed you guys before. This is the one that they kind of put out in advertisements. Here is another one that shows your steps and time of date. This is another kind of designer one that is pretty elegant in terms of the UI UX. Next one, a kind of classy one as well, and another funky one that shows off everything in a colorful view. The last one here reminds me of the Amazfit Pace, which is the same watch design that they use there. Let's say I want to transition it into this one, and again, I have another different face design. So at the moment, you are limited to the ones that Xiaomi and Amazfit have programmed there, but hopefully if through updates in the software, we may see some additional faces if this watch becomes really popular. Again, if the international version sells many units, then perhaps they'll add the ability to create future watch faces, but at the moment you don't have any additional options. Down here I can change different activity types, so I can calibrate it. At the moment it's just for running, so again, long holding on the crown will activate this specific sport activity, so it's more sensitive to that type of movement for recording your steps. Next one here, I can power the unit on or off manually, and that's pretty much it. This is just the firmware info. The first time that you connect it to the app on the phone, it's going to tell you, do you want to update the firmware? You can say yes. It's going to take a minute to push an update to the software and make things just a bit more responsive. From the main screen, I can also swipe down to have access to a quick version of my battery info on the top here, whether the Bluetooth mode has been connected or enabled, and I can tap on this to turn on the Do Not Disturb mode, which will mute all alarms and information on the watch and on the phone. So another quick little shortcut. I can swipe downwards to take a look at my notifications, and that includes missed calls, text messages, WeChat, Twitter, and Facebook updates, so it gives you quite a bit of information. The screen is quite large, and it shows English characters as well if the notifications are in English, so it gives you a line-by-line text version of any messages that you may have missed, and you can quickly read them and of course transition to your phone for a larger view. So all in all, it works really well. It gets all the essentials right in a very quick interface. So next, let's take a closer look at the app. Alright, so the app is just called the Mi Fit, and you can find it through the App Store as a free download for iOS and for Android. The first time that you launch into the application, it's going to tell you to sign into your Mi account. If you don't have one, you can create one by entering your email and your password. Afterwards, it's going to sync up all your information, and you can set up your profile, create a thumbnail image, as well as set up things like your weight, your goal in terms of how many steps you want to move in a day, and of course set up things like your gender, your stride length, your height, so it's more calibrated to different types of movement for the pedometer function. Otherwise, you can see that the app here is very simple and straightforward. This is the same app that you use to connect the Xiaomi Mi Band. So it's a universal app for many of Xiaomi and Amazfit's products. So you have a very complete experience that's shared with most of their current smart fitness accessories. The Activities tab is mostly used within the phone, so it doesn't really control the watch, so to speak, but you can tap on a specific type of activity, start the timer, and then using the phone's accelerometer as well as sometimes the watch, it's going to detect that motion, take a look at how many calories you've burned and how much distance you've walked. So it's pretty easy to use. It also has the GPS function turned on the top, which uses the GPS chip on your phone to know where you've walked on a live map and also to get a more accurate reading of the distance that you've walked. The main screen here is what you'll be primarily using. You can swipe downwards to sync the data with the watch after Bluetooth is turned on, and it's pretty quick to sync. From here, I can take a look at number of steps I've taken, number of calories burned, and the distance I've walked. The ring here will fill up to 100% once I've completed my goal for the day, which is currently set at 8,000 steps. From here, it's going to show my GPS data, if it's connected to the watch, and also my sleep data. What I really like about Xiaomi's Mi kind of app here is it's a smart app. It doesn't just tell you, oh, you've slept for 9 hours. It also gives you some data analytics to go with it. For instance, let's tap on this. It tells me that I've accumulated 71 points because I've slept better than 25% of users out there. And that's because, let's say, I've spent this much time in deep sleep, light sleep, or awake. And also, it's giving me tips on when to fall asleep better to optimize my health depending on my patterns. Also, it tells me I've slept more, woke up late, stuff like that. That's all been put on here based on data collected by other users. So this is really smart because it allows you to kind of custom tune your mood and also uses your data in conjunction with other users to tell you what you should be sleeping, what you should be doing to improve the quality of your sleep and exercise patterns. So again, this is one area where Xiaomi has differentiated itself from other generic fitness trackers by giving you more specific data and data analytics to help attune your activities. Here I can take a look at my daily goals, and if I've met that by specific dates, I can tap on a specific date and share that goal with friends and family using social media at the bottom here. So a very complete and quite simple user interface. I can swipe here to the left to have access to number of steps I've taken today at different times for a more specific kind of history. And in terms of other data, heart rate data, I can tap on this to directly start measuring my heart rate once it's connected using Bluetooth to get a continuous or a instant heart rate measurement, which is pretty cool. By default, continuous heart rate monitoring is turned off just to conserve on battery. And again, battery is the main selling point of the Bip because lasting for a month and a half, 2 to 3 months if you're on standby mode is incredible. That's one of the longest battery lives that I've seen on any smartwatch, period. And Xiaomi has always done wonders on optimization for their batteries. So this is one area where I'm super impressed about. The Bip is also waterproof, so you can take it with you when you're showering or going to the beach without having to worry about it getting damaged Going back into settings, I have the ability to take a look at how much battery life is remaining and some advanced settings I can perform using the Xiaomi app. So one cool trick you can do is called screen unlock. Basically, you can set up a proximity distance of close, near, or far, and as long as the Bluetooth is on and connected, you don't have to go through the password or kind of set up your fingerprint scanner. You'll see that it's unlocked by Bluetooth device, which means that it's recognized that you're wearing the watch on your wrist, and since the watch is yours, you don't have to use another authentication for password. Now, if the watch is further away and I turn the phone on again, you can see that it's going to ask me to go through the password. But once the watch is near again, it's going to unlock automatically. Now, this used to be a feature that was specific only to Xiaomi smartphones and Xiaomi tablets if you had a Amazfit band or smartwatch. But now I think they're opening this up to other types of smartphones on the market as long as you download the Mi Smart app. So this is a pretty cool feature. Other things, I can also turn on notifications for calls, watch alarms, for various social media apps, and then send them over once they become available, or turn them off if I'm not interested or want to conserve on power. More things on here. Idle alert means that once I've sit down for more than 30 minutes, it's going to give me a notification. I can find my watch more easily, and the watch will vibrate, as you can hear. And of course, I can also find my phone by using the watch. Finally, there is a heart rate sleep assistant that will get you more precise sleep data. By the way, sleeping here is automatic, so you don't have to enter a specific mode to activate the sleep tracking. You can just fall asleep regularly and it will detect that information for you based on your movement. So this will improve the accuracy but also decrease the battery life. There's also a gesture where I can flick the wrist upwards for the screen to turn on the backlight, although that also can be turned off to conserve on battery. Finally, you can take a look at weather settings, pushing that over, firmware, watch display settings for which apps you want to be displayed, and again, the main app that you see here, the software side of things, on the phone at least, is in full English if you want to set it up as English as you download it through the Play Store. So no problems there, and it's just the kind of program menus on the watch that are in Chinese at the moment. So that's pretty much it as far as the overall software side of things. So let's talk a little bit about the performance next. When it comes to the accuracy of the tracker, I was fairly impressed as a fitness device. The number of steps that it says that you take is pretty much on point with the Xiaomi Amazfit Arc and the Fitbit that I compared it with. So the Fitbit said that I walked 605 steps so far, and the Arc said I walked 610 steps. So this seems to be right in the middle pocket. It doesn't trigger accidental steps either, so I can shake this, and you can see it doesn't confuse that movement as an accidental step. It's still going to show 608, so it's fairly sensitive and accurate. The heart rate sensor is also on point. I found that it was fairly accurate in most of its tracking, and everything else had no real complaints with. Sleep tracking, also very accurate when compared to other brand names and past Amazfit products, so no complaints there. Indeed, battery life is a highlight here, and you can get many months on end before you need to recharge it using the dock, which again takes under an hour to completely charge, which is quite impressive. One thing I will say though is that the watch is still quite simple. I would say instead of thinking of it as a smartwatch or as an Android Wear competitor, think of it more as just a regular fitness tracker with some additional features tucked in and a larger display to read notifications easier. And of course, the transflective screen technology is a huge plus. You can read it indoors and outdoors without any issues at all. I like the build, I really like the design, but again, it's not meant, I think, as a competitor to more advanced smartwatches, since functionality is limited to just the basics at the moment. Now, one feature I kind of missed out on when I was going through the menus here is actually the compass. This is actually kind of a cool feature, but it's another hardware trick that Xiaomi built in, where you can kind of look at your direction after calibrating the watch by putting it in this infinity pattern. And afterwards, you get an accurate reading of, what way is north, and you can see that it's fairly sensitive even as I'm tilting the screen of the watch. So it's a nice little trick if you are camping or outdoors and you have to look at a specific direction to find your way back home. And that's pretty much it. Notifications, there's very low latency. They will be pushed over to the watch, at most 1 or 2 minutes later after you receive it on the phone. And the Bluetooth connection range is roughly 30 feet or 10 meters. And again, the connection in terms of unlocking the phone can be set up to your liking, and that part works pretty well. It's a nice, cool feature and incentive to buy the watch if you are already invested in a Xiaomi tablet or a smartphone. So at the end of the day, the Xiaomi Amazfit Bip, I think, is a step up compared to other Amazfit trackers on the market. At under $70, the price is very compelling, and the design here is just very simple, elegant, and straightforward. I think if you just need a basic smartwatch and fitness tracker, you'll be more than pleased here. Although do note that you don't have a ton of other applications that you can install per se, and the features are mainly limited to fitness tracking, having quick notifications, attractive watch faces, and an incredibly long battery performance, which is outstanding. And if you're looking for all those things, this one performs very well. In fact, I think it's a step up compared to the Amazfit Pace, which is not only more expensive, has a chunkier look, it's heavier, and also the battery life is shorter. Compared to something like the Amazfit Arc, which is just a straightforward fitness tracker, this one also gives you more customization in terms of watch faces, and of course gives you extra notifications that you can't do on just a basic fitness device. So all in all, I'm a huge fan of this watch, and I think if you're just looking for something basic and straightforward, this is going to be the ideal candidate to consider. You can learn more information about the Amazfit Bip smartwatch in our official written review, but for now, this has been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. This was our closer look at the Xiaomi Amazfit Bip.